my other account, and let's see. Live stream offline. Okay. Okay, all right, great. I guess this works. Okay, all right, great. I guess this works. All right, so trying to think, how do I do this? So I'm doing something different. We're using OBS Studio to stream the video to YouTube. That way I have different camera control and I can watch the microphone better. Okay, so the computer's like right there. That's why I keep going down there. Oh gosh. Just out of it today. It was kind of a rough night last night. I don't know. It's all I can do to today. You know how they say adulting? Well, it's all I can do to just breathe and be today. Okay, what are we doing? This fuel tank. Not only that, I'm kind of like, in OBS Studio, I can change the magnification-ish by zooming the frame of the camera in and out. So maybe I can have a little bit better framing than just using YouTube's website. So this is our MTT monster track tank. We need to cut this hole out. So we're going to be using the vacuum, the drill, and this giant hole saw. Definitely gonna wear ear protection because, wow, today's hard and I don't want it in my brain. I don't want it in my brain. There's a metal guide on here that protects where the O-ring goes from me and this device of destruction. Vacuum out some of the chips. So during this, there's so much static electricity that the chips are always present. They're always sticking to the tank, so I'm always tending to them and trying to vacuum them or otherwise get them out. Okay. we got that done for this minute. I didn't die, not even once. That's great. I need a screwdriver. It's been almost 2 months since the last tank, so I feel a little rusty. It's also part of why I'm live, because I feel like, you know, you're keeping me company and you're watching, so I can't be a slacker too much, even though nobody's ever live with me, really. I mean, I've got all of 35 subscribers now. That's pretty nice. Once we hit that 50, I'm going to start going live from my phone. It's a lot more handy than having the whole laptop. Wow, there's just no brains. Like, I really don't have any brains. They're gone. We're kind of getting to the end of our run of these fuel adapter plates. So it's a little bit scary because pretty much this one and the next one are going to be it. And I need to start casting them. And I haven't done that before. I mean, I haven't done aluminum sand casting before. I've done plenty of casting via other means. So it's not like it's totally foreign. Alright, the O-ring surface looks great. This is the toolkit for this tank. So just these are the various gizmos I use in the preparation of making the tank useful and proving that it doesn't leak. Let's make the giant wheel of danger go away. Here's the block off plate that we're going to use for testing. And as it turns out, we're also going to be giving this plate to the customer. I have this one and one more. Normally, I would keep using the last of our original OG plates, but we're going to need this to cast from. So what I'll end up doing is machining the other 5 sides flat. I'm going to machine this boss to level, and then we're going to keep the boss for the sending unit in the middle. So yeah, we'll be just like this one's easy to do. Then when I come here, not too sure, maybe I'll put pins through and then just clamp it in the mill. We'll see. So that's why at this exact moment you cannot buy another EFI type MTT tank from the site. I went and disabled it so I wouldn't have that extra stress. Is the screen level? No. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, this is the personal channel, so I don't, on the work channel I don't talk about politics or my mental health or things like that, and I kind of wanted to have the freedom to say things, so I went live today on my personal channel. I'm still going to send this video to the customer. I haven't had much feedback, but so far I think folks are genuinely appreciative to get video of when their actual product gets made. I mean, I don't know, I just kind of think it'd be neat. But I'm not normal, so sometimes what I think is not really valid for customers. I'm a lot not normal. Okay, we blocked off back here. And now we have to cope with the filler cap and then the drain tunnel that's right next to it. And I say, well, what do you need to do with the drain tunnel? We don't care. Well, we do sort of care in a few ways, but if we don't run this through that tunnel and then support it from the end with strength, the underside and top of the tank pull apart with about 200 pounds of force. And that will break our little drain tube. And since it goes in the middle of where there's gasoline, that is not ideal. So this block off plate is set so that it resembles the what? Resembles the height of the fuel cap when the cap is closed. So it has a little piece of rubber and it doesn't close with very much force. In fact, I don't know if you noticed, but on the plate back here, I barely used any force on those screws. It's pretty impressive what O-rings can do with very little force. So now I use this plate to give additional surface area for the clamping. It might not really be required, it makes me feel better. And pretty much my gut instinct as an engineer is creepy accurate. Okay, we need to go turn the air on. Oh, I just realized something. With you guys over here, maybe you'll be able to watch me test the tank. Oh, that's kind of cool. All right, let's turn the air on. No, I haven't yet bothered to plumb a permanent connection for the air compressor or anything. All right, there's that. So I have that green fitting on there. It's slightly proprietary. It's not different enough, but at least it's a different color. So maybe I won't just put shop air on here. This is my test gauge. So we have a 5 psi regulator, a normal industrial fitting for the shop air. I have a needle valve, gauge, relief valve, and the proprietary green mate for this fitting. I guess it's almost a permanent install. I have this air hose that kind of just lives and it routes around to the other room. So I add air until the sides of the tank bulge in. Having a little bit of compressed air inside the tank really makes leaks show up. So let's come around this way and angle you down a little. So this is just a normal trash can that it has a rod in the front, so I had to put cement on it, and then I had to run a strap around it to keep the tank, as it were, or the can from expanding. No bubbles anywhere. And then I'll turn it around a little bit. I like to actually just witness no bubbles. These tanks are actually really consistent and reliable. Wow, I'll be really disappointed if I can hear the Orkin truck stereo on this stream. I'm glad they're moving because they're really bad neighbors. Let the air out. We use a blue shop towel because it scratches much less than every other means of drying. Yeah, we first moved in. We actually had somebody who smoked cigarettes, and we had a little. We bought one of those outside ashtray things, and Orkin stole it. Like the first weekend we had it out, they just straight stole it right off of our stoop and had it in their business. And then 2.5 years later, I see it sitting outside. So they just, I guess, essentially threw it away. So I went and grabbed it. we ended up donating it to this property where folks host parties for local community folks. Because they have critters on their site, and they like to eat cigarette butts if people leave them, and so we thought we'd try to help and give them an ashtray. Okay, so we're done with these. We'll put them back in here. So when I'm making the tank and getting it ready for the customer, I'm very conscientious to make sure I leave as little marks as possible on it, and that includes water stains or scratches. And I've sort of developed this workflow. This is like the 122nd of these tanks we're selling. And maybe a dozen or so were quote unquote bad while we were figuring out the molding recipe and testing different kinds of plastics from other manufacturers. So yeah, I've made like 135 probably of these. So I know my way around it. Plus, I think we sold about 500 of these when we were in California, but they were molded by a company in LA, and then we would do, I don't know what we would do. I mean, I think we just polished them and wrapped them up. I don't think I did any post-op. So now, because they would be responsible for everything I just did, except they would not do positive testing with air. They would put a blow tip in one of the holes, and they would plug the other hole with their finger, add a little bit of air to the tank and hold it underwater, and maybe see if it leaks. And that might be fine and dandy for booster seats at restaurants, but that does not work for fuel tanks we sell to customers. Okay, so this wet paper towel is great for mopping up the detritus from cutting operations. It kind of diffuses the static electricity. Like you reach in with your hand, and then the little chips will run away from your hand. It sees you coming with your own static electricity. It's pretty trippy. All right. So the tank pressure tested good. Now we're going to get on with the other steps of preparation. A lot of folks might wonder why I use Phillips screws. Well, they're somewhat universal, and they're very easy to engage and disengage, as opposed to hex heads where every different size screw has a different size hex, and the opening or the interface gets dorked up easier. So, and the Phillips are doing fine. Plus they're cheap. All right, we're gonna drill the bigger part of this hole out. So on the top of the tank here, you can see that where you put in the fuel just has a small hole. We're going to make it the size of that well. Okay, put this in here. Get our earmuffs. So now the hole we just drilled is a little smaller than the opening, so we have to kind of trim up the edge. Perfect. Now when doing that particular operation, it's important not to just let the drill follow through, because that little tunnel drain tube thing is right behind what I just drilled out. I have ruined one tank by doing that. And then I cried, and then I made another one and vowed to never do that again. Okay. Now we have to do the part with the catch. So this cuts the spot. Can you see? Maybe not, maybe-ish, I don't know. Anyway, there's an angle bit here, or just a flat thing, I don't know, whatever. But this makes the catch for the fuel cap. Wow, I'm just really out of it today. It's bad. It's bad. So this is just a typical die grinder from a big box store. And then I discovered that the end of it unthreads. So I unthreaded the end of it, and I built all that slidey contraption stuff on it. We're gonna use the compressed air, so, and the vacuum, so I need my ears again. Vacuum. We have 2 more operations to perform, and then the functional aspects of the prep will be finished. So up where you put your fuel nozzle in, we need these holes. So this is on the inside underneath the cap, and it's just 2 little vent holes. So I had one of these tanks on my own bike. And early on I noticed it was annoying to fill up the tank, and it would splash up and get fuel everywhere as it filled up. And then it occurred to me to look at the stock tank, and then it has a pair of holes there. And I'm like, oh, so I can do that too. Now for the bottom of our little drain tube thing, we're going to put in a little hose fitting in case somebody wants to put a hose on it. I never bothered, but we're going to put in this 1/8 MTT nylon fitting. Now a lot of folks don't realize this, but 1/8 MTT is remarkably similar to metric M10 by 1.0. So that's what this tap is. It's M10 by 1.0. It's straight threads. It's not tapered. But the fitting is tapered. Plus, big picture, it's not like it's holding pressure, so it doesn't matter. And we put all our tools back into this box. Or I should say all our specialty tools that are just for this project, unique. It's the same pressure tester we use on all 4 of our tank products. And no matter what, there's always more chips, so I'm always trying again every time I think of it. All right, let's bring you in closer to the action. Okay. Now you've got kind of an interesting mount here that we're playing with. It's really kind of bizarre, to be honest. It's like a GoPro mount, a P-clamp, and a bunch of craziness. So now for one of the more important steps is the cosmetic trimming of the flash. And I just use a hobby knife to come in. So everywhere that the mold is not continuous, it's gonna raise up some flash. So it happens around the inserts, it happens where there's welding. this tool is cast aluminum, so it also has porosity, and so it raises up flash into the porosity. So we just do the kind of best we can. Then I collect up these little bits and make sure they don't stay on the blanket because they end up grinding into the surface. So we don't want that. Let's see, I can sort of see far a little bit. So usually the way it works is the hand holding the knife, I do not push with. I use this hand to apply down force and to change the angle. And then my other hand, I push with my thumb to provide the forward force. This works really well for me. Everyone's going to be different. And on top of that, for me, what I find works great is to come in from the higher part to the lower part. So like this surface is raised up compared to that one. And so I do a better job trying to trim from higher ground. So those are variables that affect how the knife behaves. So anyone wanting to play with this stuff, you know, you're gonna have to pay attention to what happens when you use your meat mitts in there and then react accordingly so that you get the desired result. Yeah, careful, don't dig in. Ah. So I try to not whittle. If I can, I'd like to do a continuous cut. But it looks like we're going to need to whittle through here, which sucks a little. Perfect. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah. Another thing too is that I find this tip goes up and bends over to the point, and that seems to do better for me than the ones that are straight backed. And these are actually almost impossible to buy separately. The best way I've found to buy these from that Jungle website is to buy a knife that comes with spare blades, and they'll have a picture of the bevel tip. I just don't know what I think of that, but we're going to leave it for a minute just because I don't want to screw it up. Come on now. So it's pretty tricky trying to do this. Oh, that's working really well. Okay, great. Yay. And we come through here. Tidy that up. All right. I mean, it's never going to be perfect. These are plastic after all. I mean, plastic is anything but perfect, especially when you start talking about rotational. Make sure you can sort of see what I'm doing, maybe. I don't know if it's in focus or not. I don't see any comments. It'll be good to see. I tried a different setting. We're in OBS Studio, like I said, to control the webcam, and then I told it to take off autofocus, and I just left it at like some value that said 140, and we'll see what it looks like when I play back on my phone. So I've been a little bit more than normal depressed lately, and I'm not sure what's going on there. I think it's mostly to do with all of the hate being foisted on the trans community. You know, and then you've got the bigots shooting up the electrical substation in North Carolina. So they just took that right out of the Russian military playbook of just hurting everyone. But hey, they're fascists, so what do you expect? It's just really disappointing. And then last night, thank the days of all the kind that Warnock won. You know, forget that one party wants basically the 1850s back, women to be property, and no one but rich white men being able to vote. But just take the concept of the two people running, and one of them is just not a person you want to represent. I mean, I thought President 45 was pretty bad. Honestly, I couldn't believe he got elected after saying the grab 'em comment. Like, whatever happened to not being an embarrassment? And then you've got this guy that's gotten so many hits to his brain he can't do a full sentence. And the Republican Party's just all over him, like he's their guy. It's just, how does a person say, I want that guy to represent me? I just don't get that. I mean, I've given up on having an ideal party. Both of them have commercial interests at the closest to their chest. It's just one of them doesn't pretend to want to trade civil rights for winning. I don't know. Now we just pay attention to not stab ourselves. I mean, it's like this radical notion that people should be able to live amongst us with the same rights everyone else has. Why is that so difficult? I just don't get that. You know, Black Lives Matter doesn't mean we don't like white people. It means, hey, maybe we can get black folks to have some of the same rights that white folks have. The hugest irony is when we'd protest out in our house, you know, we got that big sign, and this angry hick white lady is all, all lives matter. And I'm like, well, all lives don't matter if you still don't like black people, okay? Like, I wish I could say, yes, all lives matter, but by saying that with an angry tone, just tells me you don't quite understand. And then you've got all this weird, creepy, conservative hate. It's like they're mad that they can't be down on black folks or the gays, so now they're coming after trans folks. And they pervert everything to sound more hysterical than possible. It's like, have you heard what you said? Did you know the Bible really doesn't say that? Where do you get your morality from? How are you pointing at me with your hate in the name of a God? What? Oh, the one with the highest body count in the Bible. Oh, okay. I don't know. Folks just, I don't get it. Now we're getting to the most difficult portion and the most crucial portion, which shows the most every day someone rides their motorcycle, and that's the top. So I actually put in some effort to try to start lining up these mating surfaces to get them to match. And they're better than they ever have been, and they're still not perfect, that's for sure. Yeah, careful. And the reason they're not perfect is because I had, unbeknownst to me, the lowest common denominator company make our first two molds via this cast process. And so they don't really, the parts don't really line up very well. And so when I was polishing the aluminum, I put in effort to try to match the surfaces the best I can. Plus, every time I do maintenance to the mold, I try to take a moment to sand down the raised up areas. So like where the two mold sections touch, if there's a raised up part with more pressure, it gets this polished look to it, or a shiny look. And that's when you know there's a raised part. So you just grind down that raised up part with a file or something, and eventually the pieces get closer and closer together. So like through here, they are really good. And in fact, they're almost perfect along here. So something, you know, maybe I'll make a separate video when I think of it more. But you know, like when I started riding motorcycles, if you passed a cop, you got pulled over and you got a ticket. And I don't mean pass as in going faster than the speed limit and you flew by them on the road. No, I mean like if they're driving the other way and they're not busy, they're going to turn around, light you up, and mess up your day. That's how it was. That's how it was in the late 80s and the 90s. They'd sneak up next to you at a stoplight, hit your kill switch, or even reach over and grab your keys out of your ignition and just mess with you. And so now it's gotten to where there's places motorcycles aren't allowed. Just not allowed. They're banned. So imagine how it would be if Republicans decided they don't like motorcyclists, so they make a law saying it's a felony if you are one or help one. So if you aid and abet a motorcyclist by working on their bike, you go to jail. There's a hotline to call to send these people to jail and get rid of these dang motorcycle scourges. If you go to someone's house and they've got a motorcycle helmet, you have to report them. If you don't, you're aiding them, and then if you saw that helmet and didn't report them, now you're guilty too. Well, that's what they're doing against trans people right now. Texas has passed that law more than once, and it doesn't matter if it gets struck down. You're still, until it's gone and your rights are protected, you don't have rights. And now they're trying to do that with quote-unquote drag. Now, personally, this might be an interesting take for some. I don't care for drag shows. They make me uncomfortable. Imagine that, me, a trans woman, uncomfortable with drag. Well, because it triggers my dysphoria. I don't like seeing facial hair on people presenting as female. I don't like facial hair on me. So, think about that. I don't like it on me, 3 fingers pointing at me, and then I don't like drag, 1 finger pointing at drag. Imagine that. Do I shoot up electrical substations? Do I complain? No, I just don't go. But drag can be all forms. It could be from somebody who looks completely like a woman and you'd never know, to somebody doing a more poor and horrible job than a Shakespeare play. You know, and then they're going to say, oh, I don't want them being taught to my kids in schools. Well, it doesn't work like that. The thing you're thinking of was a weekend voluntary activity at a library. Parents brought their kids to attend to that. And yet, folks are trying to tell other people how they should raise their kids. Meanwhile, we've got parents transporting their teenagers across state lines to commit murder. That would be our buddy Kyle. I don't know. It just, all this crap kind of hurts that I took an oath to protect this country. And nowadays, folks are just disregarding the oath, disregarding the document, disregarding rights. It's crazy. Rantings of a mad woman. So it's important to stop when trimming a tank. There's just a point that you gotta say, that's good, stop it. Otherwise you end up whittling and whittling and whittling, and it just looks crazy. So that's why I'm running my hand over the surfaces. Just trying to see what needs more work. We don't want a raised up line. And it's kind of tricky to hold the tank and trim it. How's that looking? That's looking pretty good. Okay. Some days I don't have the concentration or steady hand enough to do this. And it's a little disappointing when it works out like that, because we pretty much make these to order. And that means someone's waiting longer than they have to. There's a little bit raised up. Oh, you can't see that. There's a little bit raised up through here. So this is the same wireless microphone, and I can see the levels in OBS Studio. The same microphone I use at home. Or I should say not the same one, it's the same brand in part. I have a set at home and I have a set here. It's the same 4K webcam. Oh, we need to kind of stop with that. Nope, it needs a little bit more. I see a raised spot. Now I have to be able to find it again. So I just run my eye back and forth to roll the reflection across the seam, and we're just trying to do the best we can. I think we did pretty good there. So now I'm checking through here, and just I can see it's a little lumpy, but these have a few different dimensions of how they can get screwed up. So you have to kind of look at these a few different ways, and thankfully this part of the tank is very much not visible. Okay. And it's really hard not to just whittle through here, because it's such, you got complexity in 3 dimensions. Come on, just go. There we go. I need to do a little bit more through here. Wow, that was pretty freaking great. Okay. That's better than normal. Okay. So the bottom mold never really fit the other pieces very well. I just don't know what was going through their heads when they made this mold. The company that did my tank, they're pretty busy, and I was small fish, and they pretty much just took my money and gave me the least thing possible. So I get it. Screw the little people. That's kind of normal. And then what really super delayed this tank was they started doing cold air intakes for K&N, and that was pretty much when they quit answering phone calls. So I took the mold and had it finished at another vendor. Yeah, of course I left a lump right there. So now it's 3 lumps. That's why we don't whittle. So kind of like we're just not going for perfection. We're trying to just take care of flash and come up with something that looks pretty decent. All right, let's trim up in the filler. Oh, there's our mail lady. Hey.
Okay.
I wanted to wear PJs today.
Comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't think redneck, but comfortable. I'll get you comfortable.
A bit redneck?
No, she said redneck.
Oh.
I said I wouldn't get you redneck. I'll get you comfortable.
Yeah. Well, it's the camouflage. Usually it's, a warning sign.
For what?
A warning sign for redneckery.
Oh.
Especially, in rural Georgia. Oh, I haven't checked chat in a while. No, still nobody watching. I used to go live on Reddit, and it was great because I could do my little philosophical rants there, and then they quit doing it. So everywhere you run a tool across an opening, it makes like fuzzy hair things happen. So you got to kind of, I like to go through and just clean that stuff up. What have we got there? Okay. Now we need to pop our towel or blankie because we got too much stuff on it. Or why don't we just flip it over? There we go. That sounds like a plan. Now we're going to go after Well, didn't I already do this now that I think about it? I think I did a little bit. All right. All right, this phase is done. Now we're gonna mess with the camera and get you a different phase. Raise you back up. Get you going like that and like that. And let's see. So the next step is we flame the tank. All right, that probably works. We'll see. So kind of last part is to sort of cure the surface with open flame. I think I'm gonna have to move you further away. Yeah, that'll probably work. we go. We flamed the tank. All right, that's about it. That's what we do to bring customers our shiny tanks. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to thumbs up. And if you want to come live and say hi, you're welcome to join in. So to do that, you're going to need to subscribe and then click that notification bell. And so I do film live from work a bit, but I don't want to focus just on work. Like we've got Billie Jean, we've got my crazy brain fun projects, and all sorts of things. All right. I guess that's that. Have a great week. I hope everything's going well for you, and we'll see you later.